I'm glad that I found a producer that could really hone into the R&B elements and the piano instrumentation type that I really wanted.
Hmm.
Um, because that is something I've never had. I've never gotten to use, the jazzy style of piano in my music, and I decided that I really wanted that. And really, my producer played it really well because I I I love the way he played the piano on here.
Awesome. Well, I'm Adam, and this is about you and your journey in music. And we'll talk about the song you have coming out, I think tomorrow, right?
Yes, it actually technically it's going to be out at midnight tonight.
Okay.
So 10 p.m. on the West Coast. So we're ready to go tonight. You can jam
Oh,
tonight.
amazing. Amazing. Yeah, I had a chance to hear it. It's awesome. Called Chills. Yeah,
Thank you.
very, very cool. So yeah, we'll chat about that. But first I kind of want to get your background. Where were you born and raised?
Well, I kind of am a Cali, Florida girl. I've only ever lived less than a mile away from the beach my whole life. So
Oh, that's amazing.
California or Florida. I moved to Florida when I was 8, and I was born in LA. Um, and so kind of half and half. Yeah.
Okay, so you're born in LA, you stay there till you're 8 years old, and then are you in Florida now? Or are you back in
No,
LA?
back in LA now. I live in
Okay.
LA now. I left Florida after like a little bit right after high school ended.
Okay. That's awesome. Whereabouts in LA were you born and raised? I'm from San Diego.
Oh, okay. Okay, San Diego. Cool. I was born actually in Culver City. Well, not born in
Okay.
Culver. At
Yeah, yeah,
Cedars.
you grew up in Culver City. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, right on. S- Okay, well, talk to me about you. You know, you're up to 8. Like, were you into music, or do you come from a creative musical household at all?
Oh, crazy musical household. Absolutely. I mean, my aunt was a musical director and an orchestra director. She did youth orchestras, and she's played all over the world. She's a flutist, and she taught music, private lessons. So between that, having her, I think that's where my mom kind of got influenced to put me in music lessons. But I was definitely musical right out of the womb. So it's interesting to see what an artistic family I've come from, and I didn't fully appreciate it until I was much older.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm all for my uncle's art. He's an artist. He paints, and
Awesome.
I've got journalists. So I'm just from a really creative group.
That's awesome. And with your aunt being a music teacher, is that I saw that you're a violinist, right? Or you
Oh
started off
yeah,
on violin? Okay.
I played violin since I was 7. So it's
Did
been
you learn from her? Did she teach you violin?
no. She
Oh,
actually only plays a little violin, but violin's my main instrument. Flute was hers. So, um, yeah, I started violin lessons. My mom bribed me to go in my first violin lesson with a limited to gift card. Thank you, mommy. I appreciate being able to have violin now within me. It's part of me forever.
sure. So you started at 7. Did you play that for, I mean, up till now, I would imagine, but was that
All
like orchestra, band, all those things through
yeah.
school?
And I went to an art school, and I was in orchestra, um, solo and ensembles, competitions, all of that. So
Wow.
it was serious. It's really serious.
Sure. So when you moved to Florida, was that must have been a part of it? I mean, you had already started on
Yeah,
violin at 7, and then you moved to
definitely.
Florida.
Like I think Florida actually might have in reality been a better place for it, only because of where I went to school, and it's not so big. It was like kind of a small town vibe per se, even though
Mhm.
it wasn't super small town. West Palm Beaches.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Yeah, beautiful.
yeah, the music at that time in schools even. So I got to start in school, and then it just became more serious as time went on, with more lessons and auditions and things like that.
That's awesome. You said that you went to an art school. Was that all the way through what, like middle school, elementary school, in high
It was
school, or did you start in high school?
high school, and then right when I started, up until the last minute, like even when I started homeschooling in 11th grade, I still played. I still had my lessons with the same teacher. Um, and all of that continued until right up till when we moved back to LA for acting. I kind of just like, there was a moment where I was like, oh no, gotta find people that play. It took me a while to kind of find the niche here and who would be good to play with. But now I have my routine back and it's all good.
That's cool. So did you move back to LA to act?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. And was
I was
that something that you're pretty serious about alongside the music?
I was single-minded about acting for the longest time, and I was like, I have to act, but I have to keep my music too. So it was never a part of the plan to do one without the other.
Mm.
Um, I kind of liked. I enjoyed my little plans in my notebook. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this first. First, I'm gonna have a Disney Channel original movie, which didn't happen. I mean, who knows? It'd be the
It
crazy
could
Disney,
still happen.
right? And then I did, and then I was just like, and then I'll release my first single after those projects because I mean, I had this whole plan. Life doesn't always go according to plan. So
Sure.
music ended up being my bigger thing first, even though I've done smaller roles in smaller projects. It's all good because I just feel like I'm happy doing either. I just want to live a life doing this
Hmm.
that's happy and has, good balance.
Sure. With coming back out to LA to do pursue acting, but always still sounds like music was still a big part of it, playing violin. What, were you always a singer and a because I mean you have a great voice, but it sounds like you spent a lot of time as a violinist. Like, or was it something you were doing
Well,
both at the same time or
I just feel like violin was always there, but it didn't stop me from being creative in other ways. It never meant that I wasn't, reciting lines in the mirror or pretending that I was a cheetah girl or, any of that stuff. It never stopped that. And it didn't stop me making plans and sealing my first little envelopes full of headshots and resumes that were at that time. I literally hand wrote the resumes. I'm like, my parents support this. So I was sending agents in LA like crazy as like a teenager doing this, like a young teenager doing this before I was even out here. So, but yeah, I did it. And, it's crazy people that make it happen, says Steve Jobs. So,
sure, sure. So you came out, you're in LA, you're doing some acting, and then when do you decide or when do you start putting out music or like writing your own songs or like how did that start?
well, I was actually with someone at an Oscar party in like 2014 or 13, and I met this producer, and I was like, "Hey, I'm an actor, but I want to sing too, and I want to start making records. How do I do that?" But like I can, and he's like, "Cool, I'll help you." So it was just kind of a meeting where that kind of spurred me to start doing this. And then when I had that experience, some not so good things ended up happening where it was a label that wasn't necessarily on the up and up. And so I said, how can I avoid this in the future? And that's when I really used my company that I had created years prior, Glittering Entertainment. I started using that as, okay, this is my entertainment banner. This is what I'm going to produce my music under. This is what I'm going to make records. I'm going to, do all of the business, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and on under Glittering Entertainment. And that's where now it's like it turned into an actual label that I'm
Mhm.
running and doing all the legwork, but it's great.
That's huge. I know I did read that you have a label. That's so amazing. And that must be difficult to do as well. I mean, that's a lot of work, I would imagine. And then are you signing bands and everything too? Or
you, know,
artists?
you know what? The thing that keeps me from doing that definitely is finances because I'm financing everything for myself. And
Oh,
this
wow.
takes so much to put into. You have to emotionally, financially, and spiritually almost drain yourself at times to get this thing the way needs to be. And
Hmm.
I don't like doing things that aren't super like high quality. I don't like doing things that are half, you know, half a, but I
You can
try.
cuss. I mean, it's up to you. You don't have to
Politely.
cuss, but you're allowed to cuss, I guess I should have
Okay, good.
said.
Good to know. But
You must cuss.
yeah, I must. But yeah, I really try to do my best with the
Uh-huh.
label, and sometimes it gets hard because, of course, people don't always respect you. because you're young or you're a girl or you're a woman, and it just gets those things. But otherwise, I will have to say, some days you're killing it. Okay, like don't be sad, don't be whatever. And my mom, she is not the kind of person that lives in pity parties. You could be like,
Oh,
"Ah," and she's like, okay, well, hashtag you chose that life. So, but yeah, that's true. And I think my mom is what keeps me kind of based in reality, and not being like, so, oh my God, with the over drama, help me, I'm a damsel in distress. Like, she just doesn't do that. And I think that's where part of my strength comes from.
yeah. Wow. And was your mom involved in the entertainment industry at all prior to that, or is it this she just kind
She
of there to support you?
she's like a supporter. She's like an Uber mom, but she's like she's definitely the like an assistant. She's like a helper with styling, wardrobe. Like she does hair, she cooks, she drives, she does everything that I want. Like,
Wow.
and she's like also does comfort and hugs and like cookies, you name it. So my mom is like everything. She does everything.
That is so cool. That is amazing to have that kind of support.
It
Not a
really
lot of people get that. I mean,
Not a lot. And I've seen
yes,
people drop like flies here without their person and without, especially it's a mom. I mean, and my mom is
family.
a different breed than most moms because she is just like all into it. She's all in. And I feel like a lot of people aren't all in. So I'm very thankful. I'm very
That is,
thankful.
yeah, that's a huge thing to have. I mean, my parents still don't know what I do.
Okay.
And even when I was
You're
on
like,
the radio, like they're sending me job applications. They're like, yeah, there's supposed to be like they just thought it was like some hobby. I'm like,
that part.
I've been on the radio for 20 years.
Well, if it's any consolation, I'll support you. Fist
Oh, I
bump.
appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah, it was just that. And I've had so many artists on that had the similar story where I was like, yeah. But then you have those few that their parents are there and cheerleaders and support
Right.
systems. And I think that's amazing. You're one of the
Yeah.
few. So when it came to the label, you start the label, and did you have music at that point, or you already had your songs? You're like, okay, well, I want to put them out. Like I should just put them out into this company I already have.
Well, my label actually started um, as kind of a manifestation project because I had nothing when I made up Glitter Rain Entertainment. I was in ninth grade. I
Oh
mean,
wow.
Miss Doss was just, bless her heart, she was just going on and on about like y equals mx plus b, blah blah blah, Pythagorean theorem, and I was like, how did I? And I had my like Lizzie McGuire slash Raven Vision in the
That's awesome.
and I'm like, how can I just make an entertainment company right now, an entertainment thing right now? What am I going to call it? And I just, I love glitter. I love sparkles. My mantra is stay sparkly. So I was like, glitter, raining, that is a dream. And then entertainment. And it just sounded, it just never left after that. And that was like ages ago. So right now, it really is. I trademarked it. When I moved out here and then still didn't have music. And now we're like, 10 songs in, got
Hmm.
one TV song that was for a show, blah, blah, blah. Like we're kind of
Wow.
going. We're going. So
That's
it's working.
amazing. Was it kind of nerve-wracking putting out that first song?
I'm actually, oddly, I'm more nervous now than I was when I
Oh.
first, I was like, cool. Yeah. Just call Selena Gomez and maybe we can collab, or call Justin. Really like I think the older you get, the more tentative you're like, did I really do this? Am I really doing this? Oh my gosh. So
More aware.
I'm
Yeah.
like nervous for people to hear new, and I'm just like actually more of a grounded normal human being. When you start becoming an adult, you start thinking more and analyzing, and that's what I'm doing now. So I didn't do that before.
Okay. It's new. Now that you have more eyes on you, maybe you're like,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
yeah, because you started putting out just going off Spotify.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
2016 is when you put out your first music.
Yeah.
Um, and then from there on, you said you had a song in a television show.
Oh yeah, Tell Me for Famous in Love, which was Bella Thorne, Keith Powers. Um,
Wow.
yeah, that was a cool show. I really liked it, and I was blessed because when they asked me to write the song, I was just like me, and I had only had two songs out at that point, And so
Hmm.
it was very special for to get that call, and I was just like blown away.
Yeah, tell me about that. I mean, getting that call, that must have been pressure, right? We want you to write a song for this show. Like, did you know the premise of the show? Did they kind of give you guidelines, or or was
Well,
it write a song
there
and
were there were no guidelines actually. They just said, give us, a Maya song and we'll figure it out. It's either going to be, at that time it was either the Fosters or Famous in Love. And so I was like, I knew it was going to be one of those. And when I wrote it, I was like, this sounds like something that this is meant for. But I was really happy that it was Famous in Love because I was just totally obsessed with that show. And yeah, and I was like, oh, I wonder if I can get an audition for it now. I wonder if I can audition for it. And then that canceled, so that didn't end up happening. But the song it just really catapulted a lot of different opportunities for me and things that I never thought would happen. When I was in seventh grade, I would be like, I'm gonna write a song for ABC Family because that's what Freeform was called at the
yeah.
time. And there were mean girls in my class that were like, who would buy your stuff and whatever. Like, and then everyone in my family's like, I want to tag them.
Right.
Like,
I was gonna ask. I wonder if any of them have came out of the woodwork. They're like, "Hey, Maya, remember, great to see you."
it actually has been a couple, but no, the
That's
people from my high school that I really like now are we're still buddies, and I'm happy for that because they were always sweet. So
always supportive. That's cool. That is cool. And then you put a couple songs out. That song was the 2019 with the show, and then the pandemic happens right after that as well. So I'm sure that didn't help momentum.
yeah, yeah, the pandemic really did. But I think it changed a lot of things about the industry.
Mm.
Um, and it's very weird because now that we exit the pandemic era, it just feels like people are breathing new life a little bit. You see, even like a lot of different musicians are excited to release music, excited to go back on tour. The 2023 was that, I think,
Yeah,
time. We had
100%.
like Eras tour, and like everyone was just excited about things of the
Mhm.
music culture. So,
It was like everything kind of caught up, as bad as it sounds like, as far as like everyone that had to cancel tours and shows and things have
yeah,
postponed records through 2020 into 2021. I feel like out of 2022, all of that had kind of finally, caught up with itself. And it was like, okay, now let's just look forward to, we're done with all that. We're done with all that pandemic.
yeah, for sure. Because I just noticed how many concerts like I went to last year, and I was like, oh my god, I'm hitting up like Ali and AJ and Chloe and Taylor Swift. It's just like back to back. It was a really good musical year, and I
Oh,
think that
yeah.
I decided to hop back in the studio in the beginning of 2023. I was like, okay, this is the time. Um, and especially with the actor strike going on, there was so
Oh,
much
yeah. Not a
uncertainty,
lot. Yeah, not a lot going on for you.
and a lot of actors like had no jobs and nothing to do, nothing to audition for, and you couldn't discuss projects. So it was like, okay, this is the time I'm going to make the music, and I'm going to start off with 2 records for 2024, and in the beginning of 2024, and then continue on from there. And I think Chills was just the right vibe. So I'm happy to have landed in this spot.
Cool. So do you have another one ready to go too? I mean, but I want
Yeah.
to talk to you about Chills. Okay, so
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah,
you went into the studio 2023 pretty inspired, it sounds like, and with all
yeah.
the other things going on, you're like, well, it's the time.
Yeah.
And you wrote Chills, and how many other songs did you have out of those sessions? Or
Well,
just
out
a
of these
couple?
sessions, I focused on 3, but
Okay.
right now, I have Chills and one more that I'm actually not going to say the name of.
Yeah,
Um,
no worries. Chills
I'm
hasn't even came out yet. It comes out in a few hours.
right.
We won't get
Chills,
ahead of ourselves.
Chills, please.
uh,
um, but yeah, there's one more right now, and then it's going to be a little short month to break, and then you're going to hear some more stuff from me, definitely.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I think Chills is such a rad song. And I think it was in your press release, I can't remember, but it was talking about just like, the environment that it kind of puts you in. It's good for date nights or yoga and Pilates. I was thinking like, yeah, this really like when I'm reading all that and I'm listening to the song at the same time, I'm like, wow, that's where it was bringing me to something like that. Like I was trying to figure out pinpoint where like my mind was going when I was listening to the song, and then that like I was like, oh, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, I want people to listen to it wherever they're zen, like
Yeah.
for instance, if you're listening to like Lana Del Rey or SZA, I personally love the car. Like when I listen to music in the car, I'm either jamming or vibing. Those are like the two moods that it is. And I think chills will like be perfect for those loud car rides that you just want
Hmm.
to, yeah, I'm gonna zen. I hear some Lana Del Rey, some SZA, some Billie Eilish, some Maya J. Put me in there, please.
Yeah. It's got that cool, like just bass, that driving kind of bass line.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely what we were going for, what I was going for. And I, had my producer come along with me and I was like, me. So I'm always analytical and thinking and explaining what I want from a record. And I feel like Chills was pretty spot on from how I imagined it. So
Awesome. When you from I think you when I was reading you co-produced it as well, right? You kind of do
oh
everything.
yeah, definitely the creative direction was all me, and I really I'm glad that I found a producer that could really hone into the R&B elements and the piano instrumentation type that I really wanted,
Hmm.
um, because that is something I've never had. I've never gotten to use, the jazzy style of piano in my music, and I decided that I really wanted that, and really, my producer played it really well because I love the way he played the piano on here, and
Hmm.
yeah, and I'm not an engineer, a producing engineer, so it's cool that when I work with a producer, it, the engineering side, when it works out, when they have their own ideas, their style is stamped a little bit on it too. So
Sure.
it's a little, you hear a little bit of yeah, you hear a little bit of my producer in there. It's cool.
That is cool. I was surprised to not hear a violin in it when I
Well, okay, interesting you should say, because
or
you
there
will
is a violin and I missed it.
all over my next one. It,
Okay.
I really time I get to play, and oh my gosh, like I want that to come out like now too, but we gotta wait a couple weeks, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, I'm just curious now, like with violin, do you with I mean, Chills doesn't have a violin, but do you
No.
because you had done that for so long, do you hear pieces and you can kind of translate that to what you want to do as far as a song with that? I don't know how to I don't really know my question is here, but can you utilize any of that to write a song that has no violin in it?
Absolutely, like 1000%. Every song that I write, I think has been able to be communicated well. I'm able to display my thoughts effectively, to producers, and kind of write the music and be able to create fully because I have that music background, and
Hmm.
and actually technical training and classical training, because that helps me. Um, I don't know if I have my first couple of songs were submitted using sheet music, and I could not have done that if I
Yeah,
didn't
wow.
know how to write staff or how to do these musical things. I'm musical theory, music theory. I'm trained in, so I can. I'm thankfully I was able to do that, because
Oh, I'm
that's
sure that helps immensely. Just
yeah,
knowing what notes go with what, you can tell them, oh, this is the note. Yeah, being able to hear that, it's not just like you're going in blind, right? You're like, okay, I know how to play the violin a little bit, but
yeah.
you're like
Sometimes
this,
even
no, this, that, yeah, just having that whole kind of scope of everything.
yeah. Well, sometimes when I say to a producer, they'll be like, I said, nope, I don't hear, I hear an A there, and that's supposed to be a C sharp. I hear it. And they're like, oh, no, that's not. Trust me, you're just ears. I was like, can you check it? And then they'll go to the computer and they'll see it and they're like, oh, that was that. So oh, you have good ears. And I'm like,
Uh,
thanks.
are you someone that has perfect pitch where you could hear a
I,
note?
I will not say that, because I've heard
Okay.
people say that and they're like, and then they like sing something completely off key, and I'm like, is that perfect pitch? I don't know what that, I mean, I
I
know
think
what
it's
it is.
being able to know what the note is by hearing. I don't know if you need to actually be able to regurgitate
That,
it back.
okay, like if you sing something, I I feel like I don't understand fully the concept of perfect pitch only because I know that I've always had a good ear, but I feel like perfect pitch means in your head, I feel like that means, oh, you never sing a wrong note, you never like have a wrong note, or you're like, I don't know, I stay away from words like that because I don't know, I'm just not that cocky, and I don't
Uh,
like, I have pitch, like
okay.
no.
I was just curious 'cause I had somebody on that had perfect pitch, and it was
Really?
some mom. I forgot who it was now, but uh their mom was a musician, and that's how they got into it because it was like they heard him do this, and it was like, and he was saying it was kind of a gift and a curse because at school when the bell would go off, like the between class bell, like it wasn't in a it wasn't a note, or it was like kind of like, I guess, it was off key a bit in a way where like these noises would kind of, it would be like irritating to something where you wouldn't, the normal person wouldn't, or someone without
Okay.
perfect pitch would have no clue they're like, wait, what? The bell's out of tune for the,
Then
hall
I'm
change?
so glad you mentioned that because I didn't know. I don't know if that's what. Okay, if that's what perfect pitch is, I might have it because I used to be so annoyed at my middle school bell because it was like it's like wavering in between notes, and it wasn't. It was just it would drive me crazy. For 3 years, it drove me insane. but
Maybe you
but
have it. I see. I don't know. I don't know
maybe
if you need to be able to sing in perfect pitch as well, or if you can just pick the notes out. Like if I just pushed a button on the piano, you could be like, oh, that's a blah blah blah. That's this key.
And maybe it is. Maybe
I don't
some
know.
musicians have it. Maybe I have it. I don't know. I
Somebody will figure it out.
yeah, someday, but not
That's awesome.
officially.
So this song coming out after Chills has violin, and was this the first song that you have like written violin for, or no?
This is this would be the first time that I played a violin on a record. And see, okay,
Okay.
so it, um, I played different little parts for the
Mhm.
song, and then just kind of picked what I would use because I had a couple. I like to improv a lot and figure out how I'm feeling in the studio before I sing something or play something. So
Hmm.
I don't really like to. I don't come in with all the time with an actual plan. It kind of just happens because I'm just mixed artist that way. I just do whatever, you know.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited for you, and the song's awesome, and excited to hear the next one. I know Chills is the big one right now, especially since it's
Yeah.
coming out in a few hours. Doing anything for the release as far as, or just
Um, I
listening
have
to
just,
it and be stoked that it's out?
I'm stoked that it's out and we're just listening to it. And yeah, I really hope everybody likes it. And I mean, if you love it, I love you. Thank you. And if you don't like it, maybe you'll like the next one.
There you
um,
go.
but actually, this just feels I'm so happy to have new music. I'm so ready, and I've got more stuff coming up, and I've got talking, to my manager about some acting stuff that's potentially coming up. So I'm just really excited.
That is awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mai, for doing this. I appreciate your time.
And for having me, this was fun.
I have one more question for you before I let you go. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Advice for aspiring artists. Um, be gosh, this is cliche, but be yourself because I could have really changed so much and being around people that say, oh, you're this, you're that. And I know that I'm weird and I know I make weird things, but stay sparkly and be like, if you're a hater, whatever. Don't let them get you down or don't let them see you sweat. I'm chill like Maya J and chill like Rihanna. So
Bringing it backward.